Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
My name is Maitra Vaidya. I am a healthcare executive in the community as well as a mindfulness leader. For the past 20 years, I have been in the hospital side and the health system side of healthcare, running facilities and helping from a quality management perspective. And in my journey through the hospital system, I quite frankly got burnt out. And in the process, as I was scoping for ways to cope with some of that burnout, mindfulness came into my hand. I've really been introduced to it from quite a long time ago. My grandmother taught me when I was growing up. So I was, probably younger than 5 when I started chanting at home and was introduced to certain components of mindfulness and meditation, but not knowing what it was. And so I practiced it throughout my life without realizing it. And then, as I was going through certain personal changes and professional changes and some of this burnout, I thought, hey, I need to learn more about this. And so I dove into the science of it and what is it and why does it work? And, what does a practice look like? And so my whole life, but really the past 15, 20 years, I have developed a practice of mindfulness in various ways and built a program actually in a company out of passion about that, and would love to share some of it with you today. I'm excited to be here. Happy Women's Week or belated Women's Week and Women's Month and Women's Year. Every day's Women's Day for me. But really, really happy to be here and looking forward to diving into how to nurture self-compassion. I think as women, we are challenged with how much to give, and we give maybe overgive and don't leave enough for ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with some tools today on how you can bring self-compassion into your life. So agenda-wise, we'll talk about what self-compassion is, talk about an activity and discussion points, and then finish it off with a 5-minute guided meditation. And I'll provide some resources that will be linked into this presentation that you can take home with you. So guidelines as we go into this, the first one is to stay curious. Allowing ourselves to constantly learn and be open. There may be some uncomfortable topics that come up as you're practicing mindfulness or meditation. So just staying curious and being open. The second is that to remember that you're the experimenter, the experiment in the data. You're the one doing the work, and you're going to see the dominoes effects. You may see an effect right away if it's your first time meditating, but really this is a practice. And so be patient with yourself. The third guideline, it does take time, just like a sport or an instrument. And the last one, which I think sometimes can be the hardest one, is sitting in the silence and the stillness. And we're going to provide you some opportunities to do that today. Let's go ahead and start with a poll. Feel free to chat, type it in the chat. How many times per week do you meditate? The science shows that at least starting out twice a day is ideal. Once in the morning for about 10 minutes, 30 if you can get to 30, an hour if you can get to an hour over time, but then once in the evening for about 10 minutes. So that's a great way to start. But you can also start with 60 seconds and just breathing exercises when you're in a stressful situation and you just have to kind of take a moment. And just counting backwards from 10 sometimes helps as well. So let's talk a little bit about what meditation, mindfulness, and mindfulness meditation is. So meditation is when one focuses the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity. It is a formal practice or technique with the goal of altering or enhancing one's state of mind to improve concentration, mental clarity, emotional awareness, and emotional balance, and then overall general awareness. And then there are various types of meditation. You may have heard of some of these, but some can be mantra specific, some can be guided or visualizations. We're going to finish off today with a 5-minute guided meditation. So mindfulness, on the other hand, is a state of being aware or conscious of ourselves and our surroundings. So it's an informal practice, and it can be done anywhere at any time. It's really a state of being, and it can be developed over time. And there is plenty of science now that supports all sorts of side effects, positive side effects of mindfulness and meditation, and what it does to the brain, what it does to the body, how it decreases stress and anxiety. Finishing off here, mindfulness meditation is focusing on the present moment without judgment. This may be more of the mainstream type of mindfulness thought practices. It is evidence-based, and it's been proven for our overall well-being. During this mindful meditation, you become an observer of yourself and your surroundings, almost like you're kind of a third, fly on the wall looking down on yourself sometimes. And it's like you're collecting data of your experiences and what you're going through. And the goal really is to observe your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, as well as the world around you, and just as it is, without trying to judge it or change something. Those are the 3 differences between meditation, mindfulness, and mindfulness meditation. Chris Germer, he says that self-compassion is simply giving the same kind of kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. I mean, in reality, sometimes, we're just not kind to ourselves. I'm not sure why, but we aren't always kind to ourselves. Whereas when we have to interact with other people, we tend to be kind to them. So we're gonna do an exercise about how we can be as kind to ourselves as we are to some of our friends. And some of this mindfulness is the practice of, and so the exercises and the meditations help when it comes to that. Self-compassion is when you notice your own struggle and you choose to give yourself kindness and comfort. It's the ability to hold your pain with love and kindness and support, rather than being hard on yourself through judgment and criticism. It's kind of like being very kind to yourself and accepting of your shortcomings. It's being supportive and encouraging when you fail, and it's actually a healthy mindset to adapt when coping with struggles. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to have a chip on my shoulder sometimes, and I can be mean to myself when things happen. Like if you're in my head, you would think that I was really mean to myself. And this part of the self-compassion is recognizing that, it's okay. Not everything has to be a certain way, or, maybe we need to be nicer to ourselves. Yeah, Jennifer says she's mean to herself too. And there's a piece to self-compassion where we're switching the story in our head, and we have to look at ourselves and speak nicer to ourselves. Gratitude helps quite a bit of that in that too. And this is a little bit of overlapping topics, but when we do verbal affirmations, we build a mentality of gratitude, and then with that comes that self-compassion and that realization that everyone is going through this. And it's not just you, and don't be so judgmental on yourself. But there are different components, three main components of self-compassion that I'll go over quickly here. The first component is mindfulness, and we must first become aware of what we are experiencing and acknowledge our own suffering in order to know what we need. Mindfulness allows us to go to let go of that self-judgment that we're talking about and move toward acknowledgement and acceptance of this, and allows us to be with our pain and suffering with greater ease. So it's accepting that there is pain and suffering, recognizing that there is pain and suffering, and kind of sitting with it. We're not at this point saying, we're not trying to ignore the pain and suffering. We know it's there, and just sitting with it is part of that mindfulness. The second component of self-compassion is the recognition of common humanity. And this does require a type of wisdom. You understand that everyone suffers and struggles at some point. Knowing that suffering is a part of life, all life, it's universal. It's larger than any of us. The recognition of this common humanity allows us to realize that we're not alone. Others have felt this way too, right? And this recognition then, this recognition of this common humanity is essential to self-compassion, because we're not in this alone. And then the third component is kindness. And it's a readiness of action. It's, elevating the suffering at some level. To be kind is to be generous, considerate, and show concern. So, with this kindness, you purposefully acknowledge your pain, recognize that all of the humanity suffers, and then you allow yourself that kindness. And then there's some things that self-compassion is not, that I think we should touch on a bit. Self-compassion is not self-pity or feeling sorry for yourself, or always having positive thoughts. It's not that, but it is embracing the suffering and the pain. Self-compassion is not self-centered or selfish. It's actually enables us to care for others more deeply and authentically. Part of that, realizing that we are all of that common humanity. It's not letting yourself get away with everything. That would be an excuse for behavior. Compassion requires you to acknowledge your behavior. And self-compassion is not, it doesn't make us weak or soft. It's actually the most power source of strength and resilience. And it is important on how you relate to yourself in a bad situation versus how bad the situation actually is. So it's how you talk to yourself, how you relate to yourself. What's your inside voice and your critics saying? And those are, some components of self-compassion there. So why do we practice self-compassion? Let's talk about that. These are some of the things you may know, but we practice self-compassion to, and all these things, have been proven by science. There's certain hormones that are blocked when we do meditative activities and mindfulness activities. It blocks a lot of the stress hormones. It blocks a lot of the anxiety hormones, which then lead to that depression. So it does decrease depression, anxiety, helps you stay collected and connected. And there is a community aspect to this when it comes to better healthy relationships and a well-being in general. And it has helped, it has shown to improve sleep and just overall, life satisfaction. So I welcome you to get into a comfortable position. If you're sitting, just make sure your back is straight. If you're laying down, just get comfortable, feel the floor beneath you. You may be standing as well. And we'll just go through a 5-minute self-compassion meditation. You can practice this at any time and when you need self-compassion the most. Keep in mind that my guidance is only a suggestion. If at any point you want to stop the practice, you're welcome to do so, and you can rejoin us when you'd like. Get into a comfortable position. Go ahead and adjust your posture, just to make sure that you're comfortable and alert. You may choose to keep your eyes open, gaze downward, or close them. Take time to bring awareness to your natural rhythm of breathing. the flow of the in-breath, the flow of the out-breath, just as it is. No need to change anything. Self-compassion is intentionally holding your pain or struggle with kindness and comfort. Self-compassion is not selfish, nor is it allowing yourself to get away with negative behavior. It is being kind to yourself and accepting your shortcomings rather than being critical. It's being supportive and encouraging when you fail. Bringing awareness back to the breath, the flow of the in-breath and the out-breath, just as it is. I invite you to think of a recent goal slip that maybe caused you to be in discomfort. Maybe a health goal, maybe a work goal. For this meditation to be most beneficial, I suggest choosing a goal that was slipped and maybe it invoked a mild discomfort. It was something that made you uncomfortable. Take some time to recall this particular situation. Notice how it makes you feel. Can you feel the discomfort or stress in your body? I invite you to take time to be aware that this is a time of suffering. Try and name what you're feeling. You can say to yourself, this is a lot of discomfort, or I feel disappointment, or I feel failure, or I feel stressed. Maybe this hurts. Now, the second part of self-compassion is recognizing that suffering that you're feeling is a part of all humanity. So you can say to yourself, suffering is a part of life, or everyone struggles in life, or I'm not alone, or others feel this way too. And now, offering yourself kindness. You may choose to put your hand over your heart with a soothing touch. What do I need to hear right now to express kindness to myself? You can say to yourself, may I be kind to myself? Or whatever you need to say to yourself in this particular moment. Perhaps, may I be at peace? May I be strong? May I forgive myself? May I accept myself as I am? May I give myself the compassion that I need. Now take a few moments to be here in silence and stillness, appreciating that you've taken the time to pause, to cultivate your capacity to be present, and to nurture yourself in this way. I invite you to transition out of the meditation by gently opening your eyes when you're ready, by wiggling your toes and your fingers. Remembering that you are always deserving of kindness and understanding, and that connecting in this way is an act of self-compassion that you can access when you need it the most. Thank you for being here today. Best wishes, and may you be well.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.